Hey guys, welcome back to the Odyssey podcast. Happy New Year. I know it's a bit late to be saying that, but it's the first time we talking to you guys. And let me address the elephant in the room one time. I know it's been about how much?
Couple of months.
5 months since the last episode.
Wow.
And it's me to apologize for that. This was no fault of Jerome's. I was out of the country for a while and then landed back in Christmas time, Carnival time. So it's been hard to kind of start back. But we appreciate everybody that's been messaging us and saying, when y'all guys starting back, don't tell me all your stop or whatever the case is. And if you're new to us, we are all about inspiring people, educating people, and entertaining people through conversations with our guests. All right? And as per usual, we always tell you all, if we take a longer than usual break, we promise you guys a banger, and so said, so done. All right? So a lot of you guys might know the guests we have here, so you'll see any title. But for those who don't, we have with us Mr. Kyle Maloney, who's a serial entrepreneur and tech entrepreneur. He was awarded the Champion Entrepreneur of the Year in 2021. And just for kicks, let me mention, he has his pilot's license and is a aerospace engineer. And a lot of you guys will know him for his business Tech Beach Retreat, which has partnerships with a lot of the leading tech companies like Meta, Google, and the list goes on. But beyond the entrepreneur, Kyle is a family man, someone who's newly engaged. Congratulations.
Congrats.
And someone who's faced many ups and downs in his personal and business life. He has a story to tell, and I know there are nuggets that will be dropped that we could all learn from and implement in our lives and pass on to the next generation. All right, so Kyle, thank you so much for joining us today. And
Thanks for having me.
yeah,
Happy to be here.
And we're lucky to catch you on your cheat day.
Yeah.
But before we started, I was just curious. I see you went on Karen Rose yesterday, and you've been on multiple podcasts and done a lot of interviews. I was just curious, I doubt it's just for the sole purpose of marketing. What is your motive behind or motives behind doing all these interviews and stuff?
Yeah, my big thing is that I want to make success feel really accessible, not feel like you had to be some big genius or something to gain success, and bring it home in your region, because you have a lot of that examples in the US, and every time you open your Instagram or your TikTok, you can hear about somebody becoming a new crypto millionaire or some kind of nonsense, right? I mean, it's nonsense, but it's also true. There's a lot of reality in that as well. But I want to give a sense of relatability for people to hear about what is possible coming from here in Trinidad, and so sharing stories of my own journey and finding points in which it could be relatable to anybody is just really the objective.
Yeah, so like a kind of mentorship through social media and
mentorship through content.
Yeah, man. That's cool.
That's perfectly aligned to what we're trying to do here. So
yeah, literally. Yeah. And right, so let me start. I wanted to start. Take us back to the era of Kyle, who wanted to be an actor.
Wow, where you get that information from? What the hell?
I did my research.
What?
Take me back to actor Kyle. Take me back into his mindset. What kind of student is he at his time? And also, what aspirations he has for himself, and how do we slowly move out to that era?
Wow, that. I didn't even know what era that was. I was a child.
Primary school.
Right, I was a kid. Growing up, I was always very extroverted. And in primary school, we had like a lot of different plays, and I would always push up myself to be like one of the lead actors or players in whatever thing that was going on in school in that way, because I wasn't shy of the stage. I wasn't shy of attention in that way. Some might say I was a little attention seeking, but You know, that's the self-awareness in me now. Yeah. But I was also good at it. And that's why I got the opportunities a lot. Not only just because I pushed myself, but because I actually like had a natural affinity for these kinds of things. So I was in a few commercials and that sort of stuff as well too. And just having that natural affinity, you kind of veer in that direction of interest, you know? And so initially, like one of the first things I ever wanted to be in life was an actor. And I have family in LA, and I have a third cousin, family tree line somewhere. Name is Tatiana Ali. All right. And she was on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And at the point in time when she was popular back in the 90s, early 2000s, when I was in LA, there was opportunity for me to be on the Hughley show. One of my family members speaking to her and her team, etc. Hey, Kyle should go audition to be on the Hughley show. So a lot of people might know about it, but it was big as well in the early 2000s. But my mother was like, hell to the no. Hell no. My child is going to be in the Hollywood movie business. She's like, I see what happens to these kids.
Drugs.
True. Right? Exactly. And I will not be fighting with my child, you know, in this way, and fighting for my child in this way. And so my mother was the disciplinarian and the focus on the academics, and the audition was lined up, and my mother was like, I don't care who the meeting was, it could be the president. He's not going. And I was real disappointed, obviously. And from there, she shut it down. And that was in, that was in like 99. Right? She shut that down, and I just kind of like cancel out that thought in my life anymore.
So, well, I can imagine when you have a dream like that, or you want to go in a certain direction, and then somebody just shut you off, and that was like your tunnel vision at that time. What going on in your mind after that? What was the next step?
I mean, I was a kid, right? I think I was like maybe 11 years old at that time, right? So they wanted a kid role on the show. And when she shut it down, like there's a massive disappointment because I think in like...
You didn't fully understand her reason.
Yeah, exactly. Now, like, I'm glad. To be honest, like I think that fame and the fortune and all of the behind the scenes kinds of things that we see coming out now that happens to a lot of these kids that grow into adults. I mean, some people make it out well, and then some people don't, you know, and I don't know how I would have ended up, you know, and so I'm grateful for the path that I'm on. That my mother canceled out. Thank you, mommy.
Big up, mommy.
Big up, mommy.
Oh yes. Well then, okay, let me take it to secondary school then. I know you were on like the most disciplined child.
Where are you getting this information from, bro? You talk to someone in my class, or you talk to my dean? You talk to my dean?
Get out there.
What is this?
Head out there.
There's some kind of criminal investigation. You have a private investigator on me? I definitely did not tell you none of this.
No, you didn't tell me that. It out there. Yeah, so take us to secondary school.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely was not the ideal student. In terms of like just purely focused on academics and just focused on doing well in school. I was more of a social kind of person, you know? And that's my personality. And the kind of person I would try and cram for exams and do well enough and try and pass, but not like do exceptionally well, you know, just find myself in a sort of a middle ground between being social and doing well enough in school during my secondary school life. I mean, some teachers might say I was a delinquent.
That's not true.
I mean, but I took pride in creating my own path, right? And that was a big differentiator for me, right? So it wasn't like delinquency for delinquency's sake. I was blessed to have a dad that gave me freedom to find myself in the midst of what would be viewed as rebelliousness. And while my mom was a disciplinarian who we had very little tolerance for that, I think they did a good job of balancing each other out. You need to have that good cup, bad cup, right?
Yeah.
For sure. Because if you're too disciplinarian, then what I ended up finding was that the kids who didn't have the opportunity to do things, by the time they get to university, they're acting out of whack.
Yeah.
But for me, like I already was out there liming, drinking, doing different things, partying plenty. So by the time I get to university, I know my parents paying for university. I'm not playing no more. It's not about getting drunk and coming home with stupid grades. You know, it's like money spending, get your act together. You know, because I already do what I had to do home when the education was free. All right. You know, so when you get out there, stop playing. So when I ended up getting my pilot's license and then deciding that I don't want to be a pilot, I wanted to study engineering because I loved aircrafts. I loved the aerospace industry. Deciding to go study aerospace engineering, it was a massive shock for like my teachers and friends who see me more as like not exactly not as academically focused. But a switch went off in my head of like, all right, the thing get real now. All right. My father was like, I see my father struggle day and night, hustle to feel proud to send us to university. Right. I went to Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. Right. And when we went to that orientation, so I ended up going to school with my brother. We're 2 years apart, but I took a year off and we ended up going to school together. When I went to that school on orientation, I almost had to fight my father to take pictures in front of the school logo and these kind of things because he more proud than me. You know, he there taking pictures like he going to the school. You know, right? So my mother is more of a more reserved type, right? She's more introverted. My dad is definitely an entrepreneurial salesperson. God bless his soul. He passed away in 2021. Yeah, man. But he was just so proud. You know, like. And so seeing that struck such a strong chord in me and in us, because my brother and I used to real fight, like physically. Yeah, boy, we used to fight real bad. But we were always close. We used to fight real bad. Largely just both of our immaturities. We don't fight like that at all anymore. And seeing that and realizing like how much this man hustling to pay for us to be there. I didn't play. Right? I finished school at 3.56 GPA. Right? So that's pretty solid for studying aerospace engineering. You know, so we were on that grind for sure. And in school, we eventually find the balance between being social and being academically focused. For sure, but it was way more academically focused. You know, we wasn't there to play. We was there to come out and represent well, so that our parents could feel real proud. And my dad always say, like, he said the kids that left here from CIC and the kids that he got back was like two different kind of kids. Like, so much more driven and focused. And a sense of belief that they could accomplish and do things, you know? It was just like, from that point on, it was just like, I've never seen so much pride in my father before. Like, right before he passed, like, so many people be always telling me that my father would talk about us like we are his trophies, you know? A little embarrassing, but I understand it from his perspective. Like, he poured so much to see a result of who we are as individuals, how we take care of each other, how we take care of them. how we take care of our own lives and step out there with a sense of confidence. So kudos to them on the work, the good cop, bad cop. It worked out, man.
No, yeah, I think your children are like, it's almost like a project if you like a life project.
A lifelong life project.
Exactly.
Crazy.
So you must
Put
be
in
proud.
time and money, hope that they would do good eventually.
Yeah, man.
Ready?
Yeah, so then when you were done with that, what was the plan? Like, what was your goal after you graduated?
Yeah, we got now saying is a businessman we're looking at.
Yeah,
and after they spend all this money on aeronautical engineering degree, what happened after that?
Yeah, man. So in school, I started a website together with my brother and two other friends from university that allows students to buy and sell items from each other. Okay. Right? In university, there is this arbitrage that exists where if you buy a book and you only need it for that semester, if you sell it back to the bookstore buying it for you real cheap. But if you're able to find somebody to sell it to, they get it at a discount from the bookstore and you're getting more than the bookstore would pay for it. Right? And so we were able to facilitate this natural student-to-student arbitrage on this website. Right? So much so that the bookstore really hated us and tried to find ways to shut us down. You know, yeah. Right? Because we was knocking their hustle. Anyways, so that was their first introduction, I guess, into online technology and what's going to happen. So I don't know what happened to them now. But anyways, so we started this website and our students began posting their books. They began posting other things like their skateboards, their bikes, sharing that they need a roommate. So I don't know if you guys ever heard about this site called Craigslist? Yeah. Right. So it ended up becoming like a Craigslist for our university. Right. And then our city in Daytona, right? So a couple of the universities using it as well. And so that made about $3,000 to $4,000 a month for us in school. And that was really cool. It taught us a lot about business. It taught us about, first about product management in terms of building applications, websites, design, because neither my brother or I were actually the designers and developers. So we work with an external team that did this. It taught us how to register and set up a US company, set up a bank account, file taxes, file annual return, like all of the structuring, customer acquisition, branding, marketing, you know, so all of these things we're learning in our second, third year university. It's dope. And this was around the same time that Facebook had just launched and Twitter just launched. I'll never forget my professor asking me, how many of you in this class are tweeting? I was like, what is a tweet? Right? He's like, man, that's the big thing now that's trending. None of you guys are tweeting? And then like only like a handful of people in the class were like putting their hand up about that they're tweeting. It's like, what the hell is a tweet? Right? You know, so I began then looking and trying to understand how to build a technology company and learning about raising capital and thinking about scaling and that sort of thing. And it was just such a significantly shifted mindset away from like what I'd initially gone there to do. And connecting with a couple of my other friends who went to IC with me, and they did engineering as well. The four of us now, compared to like I had two American partners. So now I connected with my two Trini partners who was in England. The four of us wanted to come back home and seeing an opportunity to build technology companies in the Caribbean and foregoing our focus on going and getting jobs in engineering and that sort of thing. Just taking our entire career and trajectory in a whole other direction. Yeah, man. So was there an exit plan with that? Because you would have to come back to Trinidad eventually. Yeah. So once we're done, you just come back home and start focusing on building companies.
So you've had to figure that one.
Yeah. So well, it was a blessing. It was a blessing to me that at that same point in time, my uncle approached us to begin working with him on a company that focused on making buildings more sustainable and energy efficient. Right? And he's like, you guys study engineering, you guys would really understand this well. I'm doing this here in the US. He's from Seattle, Washington. And I think I might have an opportunity in Trinidad to work with Republic Bank on making their buildings more energy efficient through focusing on reducing their lighting consumption and their building controls. Right? And so us being business minded, we just really did some research on where the opportunity was at and how much this business could grow. We were like, yeah, he's onto something here. Let's begin working with him on this. And we split the company, 51% for him, 49% for my brother and I. And we began running and like that was immediately after school. Nice. And so that was a blessing, but it's a combination of just that preparedness, of that business mindset, right? And that engineering approach and ability merged us with that lucky opportunity that my uncle came with that we began to run with, you know? And so that was one of the first tastes of the blending of that luck and preparedness, creating a tremendous opportunity there. And one of the first, we did a sample project with them. The project was in Grenada. We did really well on that project, saved them a ton on their overall energy bill. And then we got the contract to do the entire portfolio of buildings, which was
that's massive.
quite a substantial project.
Yeah.
Exactly, contract, exactly, right? And so wow. that project, that contract for sure was a massive shift in our life changing there at that point in time, and that was in 2011, right? Yeah. So the trajectory of our life significantly changed from there on. But it really started with, in university, adopting the entrepreneur mindset, learning to set up businesses, understanding customer acquisition, building contracts, like doing all that while we were doing an engineering degree is what really set the stage for what would be our first serious success in business. Yeah.
So you would tell people, I think, again, from that is if you want to get into business, start a business. That's what you said.
For sure.
It's the best way to learn about business.
Exactly. So I definitely read a ton of books, right? Like, I mean, you could, in the podcast here now, I'll give you some top recommendations, right?
Yeah.
So one of my top books was Good to Great by Jim Collins, right? And that really spoke to, and he did another one called Built to Last, right? And so that really spoke to understanding how to build long-lasting, solid businesses that go for generations. And that mindset of thinking about building a business that would last generations was a massive tipping point and shift in how we approached every business going forward. That really helped to, I guess, define success for us in a whole different way. Because if you're thinking from the start that you're working on building a globally relevant business, the approach that you take is going to be real different to, well, I'm just trying to sell something in Trinidad.
China thing
down here. But if from the onset you're thinking that you're working to build an organization that fills a gap that is a global gap, then the entire approach that you take to it is entirely different.
Because you build a much stronger foundation.
Exactly. And the way that you approach your first potential sales, your first contracts, your first team that you hire, every single thing is entirely different, right? And people then treat you differently because you carry yourself differently, because what you're building is not some little side hustle. What you're building is the next big thing,
right?
You know? So that book definitely was a big foundation. Then another one by Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, right? If you could put them books up in the little thing, to come up, right? Think and Grow Rich, man, life-changing for sure. Super foundational book. Another one by this guy called Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, right? It's like a real simple foundational book of thinking of your life, where you want to be. Are you want to continue to being the employee, the business person, the investor. It's just very basic foundational thinking that if you don't come from that kind of household, it helps you to understand, right? From a very basic foundational level that you want to move from being the employee side of things to being a business owner, to being an investor, right? And if you don't come from that household, you're just not going to have that thinking, you know? And so for some people, they might say, oh, that Buckarel petty, basic or whatever. But if you don't come from it, the things that you exactly take it for granted. Yeah.
What you would say is the biggest difference in the mindset between an employee and the business owner?
I think one of the biggest mindsets between the employee and the business owner is that the business owner is always thinking so many steps ahead, right? It's like, and thinking about the long-term vision and sustainability of the business, while the employee is thinking about today and now, right? And so they're doing their tasks that are given to them for the today and now, and not necessarily thinking about where the business is going to go, where the sustainability can come from, where there are new opportunities, where the new partnerships. They're just not thinking more broadly. They're thinking very linearly and tunnel vision to what they were hired to do, and where the value of where they perceive their value comes from in that moment, sort of thing. Right. But the employees that are able to think more broadly across divisions, across departments, and think more long term are the ones that are able to make it further a lot more quickly.
Seeing that you would have read all these books before, I'm guessing this would have been prior to the big first. What was the approach, I guess the more global approach to starting first, if you had all this insight and knowledge now?
Yeah, man. So we took the cash that we made from the first business that we started, right? That energy efficiency business, and began putting it into building what we believed would become the next big technology company from the region, right? What was called First. And that's why we call it First. It was from the perspective that we were going to build the first big technology company from the region. And so we started, what First was, for people that don't know, was a search website and application for businesses where you leave reviews, you see information about the business, opening times, hours, etc. You can leave reviews, and the idea was that we build the application to becoming a site where people can purchase products from local businesses. They can make bookings at restaurants, or make bookings at your hair salons or barbers and that sort of stuff. And we become a de facto player in between the consumer and the business transactions. And that was the vision of what we're working to build.
Great idea.
Right. And so where we started initially was just simply being a really good, high quality business directory. You look for restaurants, you're able to see very rich quality pictures, see menus and that sort of thing, better than what would be available on when you search at Google. And then also even if like, how would you do it? Like Instagram or Facebook search or something, you wouldn't get like an amalgamation of businesses in that kind of way. And so we fit a very unique need that, quite frankly, I still think exists today in the region, you know?
Yeah. Because a lot of, especially local companies, they don't even fill out their like Google profile, so you can look it off.
Exactly. You know? And so because this was the vision of what we were working to build, to become that layer between the consumer and the business, and facilitating transactions, that's what Digicel bought into. So Digicel invested a couple $1 million for 25% of that company in 2014, right?
And did you all approach them, or did they approach?
And that's US, I guess.
Yeah. This is public information, right? This was USD, and what we did was that we approached them for sponsorship for our launch event, right?
Serious.
Yeah. I would never forget. we got a meeting with this woman. Her name is Sasha Thompson. Sasha, big up yourself. You know, we love you. And Sasha took the meeting. Sasha was COO at the time, and I think she said like she wasn't sure what to expect and didn't have the expectation that it would be so grand, right? And then we played our video for them of what we're about to launch, and then did a product demo, and she was thoroughly impressed. Calling the CEO to see what we're building, and she was thoroughly impressed, and there and then she said, yeah, we'll support the launch event with some sponsorship and some devices. And then fast forward 3 weeks or so later, because Digicel has this thing where they have monthly board meetings. I would never forget where I was. Like, I'm picturing it right now. I was in our office right there in Maraval, right there next to Pizza Boys, where Blooms is now. And get a call from Sasha. Sasha called me and she's like, hey, I'm in New York right now at board meeting, and chairman asked if about any, what are the top technologies that people use, the top apps that people use in each of our markets. And people only had answers of saying YouTube or Facebook or something like that all the time. And he said, no. What is the top local applications? And nobody had an answer.
True.
Right? But then I was like, no, I know, I have one. And she said that she turned her computer around and played our video. And they were thoroughly impressed. And Chairman said, go find out about this company, and if they're good, invest in them. And so I'm calling you, Kyle, to find out if you're open to investment.
Yeah. You said no.
Right? I was like,
Question.
What? I was so confused. Like, I'm seeing it right now in my head, right? Like, I was so confused. I was like, okay, all right.
Sure.
Let's figure out what this could mean. And fast forward like maybe 5-6 months later, figuring out a valuation, figuring out the trajectory where we're gonna go. They made us an offer first. It was a pretty substantial offer. They offered us $5 million for majority stake in the company. And we said no.
US.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
No? What was the reason for saying no? You wanted control.
Exactly. We didn't want to give controlling interest to the company. That we didn't have clarity on how they would execute the vision of it.
Yeah.
You know. And so we ended up settling on a couple million for 25% of the business, and with the belief that okay, let's start here and we'll raise another round based on us achieving some milestones and that sort of thing. So yeah.
So
That's kind of crazy. You know?
no, it really is. It really
Because
is.
like I swear you don't really hear about, at least I could be ignorant, but you don't really hear about like local companies, just not local, but investing in like startups. Like they're very risk averse.
Yeah.
That matter. Even in the banks, if you go into the bank for
No, I mean, to be honest, I mean,
relevant.
if the banks aren't typically risk investors in that way, right?
Yeah,
So they're not. And so the expectation that they would is unrealistic, right? You have investment houses designed specifically to take those kinds of risks, right? And evaluate those kinds of deals. And that's where they typically come from. The entire space is called venture capital, right? Within the technology space, right? And so, but we don't have that venture capital space here in the region.
So,
Yeah. Well, not much of it. Like there are a couple different.
in Jamaica?
Yeah, exactly. Right. So there are a couple different investment houses that invest in technology companies or people raise money from. They have a lot of investment houses in Jamaica, but they more play in traditional investments than in technology companies. Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Nice. Did you all get to the point of a next round of funding?
No, man, that was one of my biggest wins and my biggest failure.
What happened?
Yeah. Yeah, man. We began running so aggressively with first. For people of that time, they would know how visible we were. We took, because Digicel was our lead investor, we took Digicel style of marketing at the time. I don't know, so if you're probably too young, but Digicel, when they first came into the market, they were everywhere, right? They were everywhere. They just took like such a wide marketing approach that they covered the country red, right? And that actually kicked B Mobile into a gear to say, what? Nah, there's our space. And so it started becoming a red versus green thing, right? And because Digicel was our lead investor, we psychologically felt a conditioning to take a similar marketing approach, right?
Spending real cash.
Exactly. Yeah. So we spent quite a bit in just covering the country orange, right? That was our color. And we came up with a slogan called "Help Build the First Nation." And what that was essentially was to get the public to add different places close to them on our application. That helped to really just grow our database of accuracy in terms of all the little local shops nearby and that sort of thing. And it worked really, really well. We had a core team that went door to door across the country. We built out a map across the country, and we had a core team. We call them the first Mavens. They were dressed in orange, and our logo was a 1. And we went out with branding and stickers and just began plastering the country everywhere, just capturing the data of exactly where that location is, opening hours, closing hours, some few pictures, and just getting that business aware that we exist and to begin using our platform as a point of letting customers know to where to find out information about them. You know, it worked really well. We had over 100,000 users locally utilizing the application. Yeah, we had great uptake. We built up quite a substantial amount of revenue. Our revenue model was simply an advertising model where businesses would pay us a monthly fee to rank higher on the platform and to be a part of our pretty substantial mailing list. And that generated, we did just short of $1 million US in revenue in our first 10 months of operation.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. It was incredible.
So, what happened if you're doing so? Were you bringing more money than you were?
Something good when you feel your part, boy.
Yeah, man. Because we got the money from Digicel initially, we were real sure that we were gonna raise another round. We ran the company like it was a Silicon Valley company, whereby we're just gonna raise another round, and so we didn't need to focus on being profitable today. It was focused on just growing and covering the ground. Life happened, man. The guy who led the investment in us, he got cancer. So the deal ended up coming out of Sasha's hands because Sasha was locally focused and went to a guy in overall group. Exactly. Right. And so we began operating with group. And so out of anybody local. And he got cancer. And when he got cancer, he didn't have anybody in the group that was able to clearly take the baton in the way that he took it, because his context was that he came from Silicon Valley venture capital. Right. And so he really understood what we're trying to do and had the political will within the organization to really support us to do the things that we wanted to do. And when he was gone from the role, he's still alive, but he was not able to operate. We were passed hand to hand internally until we burnt out our cash, and boom, I'll never forget once again that last day where we had to send home the whole team, go from your biggest win to your biggest failure. And for me, in those moments, to be honest, I was feeling so exhausted,
Imagine.
Yeah. Because we fell into the monthly sort of cycle of reporting of our progress with them. And so you're measuring the success every single month. And it just was it felt like a lot of pressure to manage the team locally, get the results, report any progress, make sure the progress looking better in the last month. It was just a lot, and just being on that hamster wheel. And with sending people home, I feel like shit, I have this hamster wheel now. Yeah.
You was young too. How old are you?
I'm 37.
No, but
back then. So this was in 2014. and 15. So I would have been 25, 26, 27. Exactly.
Can't imagine firing some people.
I mean, did you have like, did you not feel as bad because the failure wasn't really in your hands, like it wasn't really a result of what you guys
No, it definitely was a result of us. If we had adjusted the company to be cash flow positive, we would have had a longer runway.
And you would have been able, well, what I mean is because it was passed around by the people within Digicel or whatever, you all would have had to make that decision based off of that, but you all just didn't have the foresight.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
26, 25. I mean,
Yeah,
it's your
exactly.
first time doing something. It could be
We definitely didn't play as though things would go wrong. We played as though
optimistic.
man. Things are running well and let's go hard. You know? And we were really, really aggressive on really just trying to do super, super well with this company.
How does that talk go with the employees, especially being so young? I can't imagine that though.
Yeah, man. So it was a pretty hard conversation. There are definitely tears around from a lot of the team, and different people took it differently. Some people were really understanding and supportive. Some people were really pissed.
Of course.
And so we had a wide spectrum of emotions and responses that came out from it. But yeah, man, it was all big learning lessons, and a lot of the team that were there with us have managed to go on to pretty green pastures. And so I'm grateful, and it's also a reflection of the fact that we had quality people working with us on this, you know?
Yeah, of course. You take those. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. You take those experiences from that, and I'm sure you implemented it moving forward. So I mean, at the end of the day, probably net positive for you.
I mean, for me, my life and journey is that I've just been so set that whatever I work on, anything that I do, I'm just gonna do it really well, and I'm gonna shoot for the moon. And so success is just a matter of time versus whether I would or wouldn't. It's just, I know, just grind over time. Enough time will yield the result. Yeah.
And I'm curious to know what takeaways from the if you want to call it a failure with first, how has that led to you running business differently after that? And
my God. Biggest thing for me is that try to do more with less people. Right? The people management became such a weight for us that I definitely have trauma around people management. Because when things going good, everybody happy. But then when things not, you end up on the wrong side of the sword. and people that you're having drinks with and happy and things nice turn into enemies, you know? And you would have had the best intentions, but intentions don't matter sometimes. It's just the outcome. Exactly. It's just results, right? And so the result was that I'm not here anymore. This not in here anymore. This didn't work out in this way. I don't care what you planned on, you know? So I think definitely my trauma from that experience is try to achieve the result with as small a team as possible.
And so in your time in business, especially being at the helm of it all, you learned a lot from managing people and leading people. You have any insight to share in dealing with people, or maybe what you've learned from people over the years?
Yeah, from a management perspective, I think it's really important to pour into people a big vision of what is possible, right? It excites them every day. So you get people really pouring more into this thing because what you're trying to achieve is this big, audacious, crazy goal. You know, we had people that would be coming into the office early, leaving really late at nighttime because they were really sold on what we're trying to do, you know? And so, exactly. And so this wasn't a transactional relationship for a lot of our team. It was that we think we're gonna build the next biggest thing, and if you're building the next biggest thing, it's gonna require a big energy, a big push, you know.
It's ownership in the final result too. Because they're not gonna put in all those extra hours just because you tell them to, or just because they're working for you. If they bought into this grand goal at the end and they want to be part of that too, because it's also a selfish thing too. People want that on their resume. People want that experience of building this huge thing. So yeah,
exactly. And so giving people the opportunity to be a part of this thing that's going to be transformational, and them being in the driver's seat and seeing it firsthand. Yeah, no, it's definitely something that is a big differentiator in how you lead and manage. One guy in particular told me that he got his next job because he was on our team, and he was like, "Yeah, he was on the first team. We want you, definitely want you." You know, and so, yeah.
And how did you? The people who were working for you, were they around your age, older, younger, whatever? Like, if they were older, was it hard to like gain their respect? Because people have this thing where they don't really want to take orders from somebody, their junior.
Yeah, man. For sure. We had a lot of team that was older than us. Definitely. And managing up in terms of age was interesting because the life relational points were quite a bit different. But I don't think like it was a challenge in that way for us, because I think the vision that we had for what we were trying to accomplish was so unique that if you're a part of this because you believe in the vision, and it don't matter how old I am, once we're demonstrating the results on achieving our vision, people largely like get behind and support. I don't think we had a lot of challenge in that way. I mean, I might be glossing over thinking back like now, freaking 10 years. But that wasn't one of the big challenges from my age perspective. But people generally were young, right? So it wasn't like there was like so much older than us. Yeah.
All right, so take us through, well, the thing most people know you for is the jersey you have on right now, the TBR, right? So, sure. I mean, you've started a bunch of businesses, but this is the
crown jewel.
The crown jewel. Today. So take us through how this came about.
Yeah, man.
The idea of it, whatever.
So we running through that timeline there, right? The timeline being that first is done, and on to the next thing. And one of my friends, now my business partner, in Jamaica. I mean, he wasn't even a friend at that time. It was just a guy that I met, right? In Jamaica, he had approached us on partnering with him to do events, a technology event, right? But we weren't so focused on doing that. We're trying to run this business, and it just seemed like a distraction away from our core. But then he approached me again, and he said, "Yo, look, how things going at first?" Yeah, not so good. You think you have time for me now? I say, yeah, yes, exactly. I say, man, that's a pretty cruel question, but yeah, cool. He's like, no, but asking it from the perspective of if to build on top of that, one of the big reasons why you wouldn't have success in the region, or you'd be really challenged to have success in the region, is because we lack a environment that has the pieces that would see technology companies win, right? And I said, what do you mean by that? You didn't have other investors come into here like Digicel, the talent that working for you didn't come from technology. Mentorship, people that you're looking up to wouldn't come from technology wins in that way. And so compared to like if you start in the US, you have the likelihood of running into these kinds of people if you're in a San Francisco, if you're in a New York more often, but in Trinidad or even anywhere in the Caribbean, you're just not running into the CEO of a Twitter in a coffee shop, and I said, all right, cool. Well, I actually want to think about building another technology application, but I will help you out in this instance, in this case. I had told my other business partners from first about it and stuff, but nobody really took up interest in it except for me. And I'll never forget, like I was sitting in my room asking them, hey, will I come in on this call? And nobody take me on.
They regret that now, boy.
No, I don't think anybody regretted because things fell in alignment with what is natural to each of us, right?
Okay.
And so building a community business, an event business in that way really is in alignment with my personality and my own purpose in that way. And so there's no regret because it just didn't align and speak to them in that way, right? So cool. So kudos to my co-founder. His name is Kirk Anthony Hamilton. He's Jamaican. He drove the vision of what we were building in year one. And we executed a pretty solid event in year one in Montego Bay, Jamaica in 2016, December. Brought together founders from across the region. I brought a number of people from Trinidad. We brought some great speakers from some of the big tech companies. And we had our first event and it was net positive. We had net positive, net profit, and kudos definitely to him on having that vision of what was possible, and having the vision matched with the execution of being able to make this happen. And I fit in terms of the marketing and bringing some elements from the Trinidad piece and some speakers and that sort of thing, but I wasn't fully bought in on the first one.
Really?
Yeah, man. On the first one, I wasn't fully bought in because I was really thinking of what is the next technology company that I want to really begin, you know? And so
Focus was elsewhere.
yeah, exactly. My focus was elsewhere. And seeing this thing as like, maybe it could become something. And so I'll help him out, right? So it was more of a help out than anything else. And I spent some time in that same year in 2016 in San Francisco. And one of my really good friends lived there. Well, two of my good friends lived there. And I began building some relationships in San Francisco. And one thing led to the next, that I was able to really contribute some good speakers and good people to attend the events and that sort of stuff. And it was after executing it on year one, I was like, all right, I think we're onto something, right? I get it now. I understand it now. All right, I understand it now.
So you in San Fran, you would have met, I guess you would have been up there networking or something.
Yeah, man.
So
Yeah.
What, I guess you're known for your networking. what was your approach there?
Yeah.
A strategy, I guess.
I think this is where anybody listening, you take the tips, right? I started with no connections in the global technology space, right? That I'm known for now, right? I had one friend who had an apartment. She had a house in San Francisco. It was like a 4-bedroom house, and she was subletting. And I could sleep on the couch or share her bed. And so I did either, depending on if she had a boyfriend or something at the time, I was on the couch, or if she didn't, I sleep, we shared the bed, right? And then I had one friend that he was a senior director of big data at AT&T, and he was a Trinidadian fellow, right? I think he's like 10, 15 years older than me. So he had some decent connection points. So I had a place to stay for a long period of time, and I had one connection point into tech in San Francisco. So I went there and just started looking for events on Eventbrite and a bunch of different event sites. I just went and looking up for events on different event sites and just go, right? Whatever events that are free or cheap, I dare, right? I dare. And so I'd leave in the morning and come back late in the evening because I would just be exploring the city, going to meet people at their offices, and just building gradual rapport, just connecting from one person to the next. And thankfully, I was leveraging at that time, inviting people to this event. You know, so I had something to offer people because coming to an event and speaking on a stage is something that's appealing to a lot of people. And even though the event wasn't known at that time, it was still something that gave me an in to be able to speak to people, right? And so I had something of value to offer them. Right? Just even it's the smallest thing. And so that value offer is where I started. And as I began meeting people, I began taking the approach of connecting people as well, right? And so even if I would have met you for 10 minutes, learn about what you're doing, understand, I go to next person I meet, and it happened to have a connection point between the two of y'all. I'm like, yo, John, Stephanie, y'all should meet, you know? And always taking the approach of just pouring value into the community by just facilitating introductions and connections. Man, that began happening to me a ton of times. People just begin introducing me. And boom, the Rolodex began to build. So fast forward to 2017 now, the second year Tech Beach. One of my friends I did CXC and then I did Cape with. His name is Mark Moyu. He working at NVIDIA now. Right? Yeah, right. Right. He's a senior AI data scientist at NVIDIA. And we did exams together in school. And he was one of my really good friends. He met this guy who was a senior director of engineering at Twitter. He met him at a conference or something, and he said, yo, you know, you should meet one of my boys, Kyle. He's been in San Francisco all the time. Nice. So sent an email introduction, whatever, and the guy was like, his name is Michael. Michael was like, yo, anytime you're in San Francisco, hit me up. Was in San Francisco, hit him up. And typically when you're in San Francisco and going to meet people, you go meet them at their offices, and because these offices were real nice. Yeah. you have breakfast, lunch, extra food, smoothies, all kind of thing, right? Yeah. Their whole idea is just have all of this stuff in the office so people work longer hours, right? And they come to office and stay, right? Anyways, so boom, send Michael a message. Michael is like, yeah, meet me downstairs in the coffee shop. I was like, what? So I tell my boy Kirk. So Kirk was there with me that time, right?
So me,
Kirk? Yeah, right? So he's like, all right, cool, I guess we're going to meet him in the coffee shop. Going to the coffee shop. Third in line, waiting to buy his own coffee, is Jack Dorsey. CEO, founder of Twitter and Square. Right? Wild. Yeah. Right? So I was like, all right, I guess this is why we're here. All right? So this is why we're here. So there's a chance, right? So I don't get starstruck, but entrepreneur struck, you know, opportunity struck. It's a
Shark Tank.
Yeah, right, exactly, right. So exactly, it really felt like my Shark Tank moment. You get one chance. All right. So I say, yo, Kirk, go and introduce yourself. Yeah. So kudos to him once again.
Oh, he went. So you went?
Nah, yeah. He went and introduced himself first, right? And then he said, "Yo, my name is hey Jack, can I have a couple minutes of your time? Tell you what something that we're building." Came on the line. Kirk was like, "Yeah, we're working on building a platform to be the bridge of opportunity between the Caribbean and the top technology ecosystems of the world." He said, what kind of platform this is? We said, not like a technology app, but a community through a network of events that we're building. He says, hey, it sounds interesting. Kirk was like, we believe that the Caribbean is the next frontier of opportunity because typically you look at, from the US, you look at going to South America, you look at going to Africa, you look at going to Asia and Europe. And so the Caribbean is often overlooked just because of our population size. Mm-hmm. But we think there's tremendous opportunity there because we see it. We see billion-dollar organizations built, home-rooted here, you know? And so he said, hey, that sounds interesting. Let me know more. He's like, where is this event? Kirk is like, well, no. And then he said, what is your name? Turn into me. I said, oh, yeah, my name is Kyle Maloney. Good to meet you. I'm from Trinidad. He's like, oh, man. Yeah, that'd be really cool. I haven't been to Trinidad in a long time. I used to go to Tobago more so with my mom until the age of 16.
It's mom?
Yeah, bro.
Just so?
Wild.
Go on vacation, but
I think you might have a little Tobago love. Something, you know. You say about that.
Oh, that's mad.
Yeah.
Small world.
Yeah, so it's wild. Maybe not. I mean, who knows, right? But you're going back there every year.
Yeah. Something pulling you back.
Yeah, something pulling me back. Yeah, exactly, right? So he said he hadn't been there since, right? And I said, well, sorry to break it to you, but the event is in Jamaica.
Yeah, it's true.
He said, well, I've never been to Jamaica. And so I think this might be a prime opportunity. To be honest, I told him I would just be nice.
Yeah.
And then the guy that was going to meet, Michael, ended up coming downstairs and saying, hey, Jack, meet. It's like, oh, you guys did this already? I said, yeah, just look at my phone, take a picture. Take a picture of us, please. Yeah. And so Michael took a picture of us. And I just said, well, hey, Jack. He said, well, send me an email and tell me more about the business. And I said, well, what's your email? He said, jack@twitter.com. I said, oh.
Cool. Guess that.
He's the first employee or something.
Yeah, man. First name alone.
Yeah. Right.
Picture.
Yeah, looking for the picture.
You gotta send me that so I could put it on the screen.
You're right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So looking for the picture. So get a picture with Jack and just tell him thanks and yeah, look at the picture. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, no, absolutely crazy. So this was June of 2017. We get home to my friend's place and we shoot Jack the email. And Jack responds and says, hey, it was nice to meet you guys. Just like a few hours later. And then he said, I've copied my executive assistant from Square, who would take it from here. And then she responded and said, hey guys, I've blocked Jack's calendar for these dates. Please keep us posted on the progress.
So I would have been so giddy.
Was that your first breakthrough for TBR?
Big time.
Twitter,
Big time. That was the first major win.
Twitter's part of the tech mafia.
Exactly. It was the first major win. And quite frankly, the biggest name that we've had at Tech Beach. Like single name. We've had a lot of big brands. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But that was the first biggest name that we had at Tech Beach. And still is. And so that was really, 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 really incredible.
That was early on too.
Yeah, that was the next year. So imagine having an event and your second year of this event. Yeah, look, frig, you know how long I look at this email? Hey, Jack, it was great meeting you at Blue Bottle yesterday morning. What we do, thank you all. We'll look into it. Great meeting you. And then I responded, thanks. We look forward to response. Either way you choose, let us know. All right. Good morning, Kirk Anthony. I'm Jack's EA at Square. I also handle his travel. I've blocked this time on his calendar now. Incredible, right? Absolutely incredible. Yeah, so the receipts.
No, I mean, that's
actually happened, guys.
Because you actually, like, how much bigger could you get besides him? Like, what, YouTube, Google, Facebook? Is
right,
like,
yeah. I mean,
like 6 people.
Exactly. Exactly, right? And so at that, within like the social media mafia, there's only Zuck.
Yeah.
Right? It's only Zuck that's bigger.
Exactly.
Right? Right?
That's a huge win.
Right, exactly. So okay, Jack and Zuck. Yeah. You know? And so we hit jackpot gold, no pun intended, right? On this one. And the moral of the story is, the big takeaway from it is, one, if you realize where you are in terms of the environment that you're in is not conducive of the results you're looking for, get up and move. All right? Get up and move to an environment that you believe will be better conducive to the result that you're trying to achieve. All right? So I knew from the onset that if I'm building a technology company or I'm building a technology community, I couldn't do it from Trinidad. Right? And so I began looking for how I could spend more time in the mecca of technology, right? And so that opportunity with my really good friend presented itself because I was looking for that opportunity. All right. And so I could have easily said, well, I don't have nobody there. I don't know. I could never ask. Blah, blah, blah. And so I stay home, and so I have to try and do it from home. But no, begin looking, begin digging, and get up and go. And if you don't have that same opportunity as me, get up and be there, even if it is for a few days, because you can't connect the dots looking forward. The opportunities only come when you begin moving. All right. You need to get up and move so that the opportunities can begin to align themselves, and you'll begin to see it. But you can't see it sitting down in the position that you're in. You gotta get up and go. All right. And so if I didn't get up and go, I would have never been spending time in San Francisco to be able to spend time there, to be able to end up meeting Jack in that way. All right. 2, when you get your shot, shoot the damn shot. You had to take it. You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. All right? You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. All right?
Because your upside is crazy compared to your downside. Your downside would have been Jack saying, nah, not today, bro.
Exactly.
But your upside is
Or even saying he busy right now, we can't talk.
exactly.
Like,
That's nothing.
The answer is always no if you never ask, bro. The answer is always no if you never ask.
100%.
Were you always not afraid of rejection?
What do you mean? The story said that I was afraid. You forget? Exactly. You forget? I ain't looking to take no credit and take the easy way out and be like, yeah, bro, the opportunity came and I just didn't care, like I did this, nah. I mean, I was blessed to have a business partner that we could be operating and bouncing off each other in that way, and yeah. But if you do have that, you gotta like dig in, dig in. You don't have it. So it's not an option to use. And so if I didn't have it, I probably would not have used it, and I probably would have just gone and spoken, because it's not a tool to use. So, right, you use what you have.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
I would imagine if that was me in that position, I run in Tech Beach Retreat, I only doing it for a short time.
Like 1 year.
I only did it once.
Exactly.
I only did it once. And then I secured Jack.
Exactly.
I'm gonna be
gas.
No, but not even gas. I'm gonna be like putting in so much effort to try to make this thing. I don't even know what the word is I'm looking for here. Like for Jack to come here, it had to be something like proper.
Yeah.
So what was the changes between that first year and the second year, or did you all even feel like that?
No, man. I didn't because I think in meeting him in person, and he was so normal.
It's people too. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
He's so normal. A t-shirt, jeans. I think it was sneakers or sandals in a coffee shop or whatever. And just talking to us just like so chill. And then that energy being transferred to his EA, who was so chill as well. Really didn't put like the heightened world of expectations and pressure on us to create something super grand for him to come to.
Okay.
But it's not to say that we took it for granted and didn't try, right? But it was a lot less than feeling like you're working with some kind of diva, that you had to just do the will and worship the ground, like we offered him the presidential suite at the hotel and he's turned it down.
Really?
Serious.
Yeah, he said, "No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about any expenses."
Serious.
He jumped on his private jet and brought 6 of his friends to Jamaica. Yeah. What was real shocking to me as well is that he sent a jet of his security day before.
To scope it out.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he wants his man's billionaire, that one, right?
Yeah, of course, right? Of $2 billion publicly traded entities, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I didn't think that would be the case. So we there at the hotel in Montego Bay, Jamaica, and we get a call. Hey, we have some people here from some security people here that would like to meet.
She was like, okay,
Like what? Okay, go and meet them. And they were real nice too. They were like, hey, look, listen, They were serious looking, right?
Of course.
But they were nice.
Yeah.
Right? They weren't like aggressive or anything like that. They were like, oh yeah, man. We're here on behalf of Mr. Dorsey, and we just need the space to be able to do a walk through the compound so we can identify the exits and
any risks,
and any potential risks and that sort of stuff, and we'll be fine and we'll be gone. I don't know where they stayed. I don't know. I never saw them again.
But they were there.
I don't have any names.
Jesus Christ.
I just have a picture of what the man looked like in my head, and that's it. You know,
those men were in the coffee shop. We just didn't know. The whole time.
Yeah.
These men talking to Mr. Dorsey, boy.
Yeah, exactly. And then the next day he came, and it was so chill. He jumped out. He booked 2 Land Rovers, and a villa in an area called Discovery Bay, which is like a super nice area that's a little bit away from Montego Bay. I think it's like an hour drive or something.
Right.
And book his own villa. Come in with his own friends, jump out, and he's like, "Hey, Kyle, Kirk, so good to see you guys, man." That was, yeah,
Such
exactly.
a crazy experience.
Yeah, and so that was the next time we saw him. Right?
Serious.
So we saw him in the coffee shop, and then the next time we see him, he's jumping out to the Discovery Land Rovers.
That
Yeah.
is wild, yeah. I would have been in disbelief until I actually saw him there. Like.
Yeah, like that's. But I mean, the thing about that too is like these brothers, like they are. I don't want to say they're.
So that's it there. Look the picture. He jumped out of the Land Rover, and I gave him a hug.
That is.
Yeah.
Damn right.
That's crazy.
That's really
And so yeah, so there's us interviewing him on stage.
You almost got so much. Did you all get like an uptick in attendees because of him specifically?
Yeah, for sure, big time. We got written about in Forbes and Inc. magazine, and
From now on.
yeah. From that moment on, it was significant validation of what we were doing.
Of course.
Oh yeah, look at that. You see, I talking about the security. So there's a picture of me talking to him there. There's one of my best friends in the front there. He actually just messaged me, Issa. And that's his security there. Walking right next to him.
Ex-military for sure.
Right?
For sure.
Right, yeah.
Oh, that's so. But yeah, like the thing is, like those guys, like I don't want to say they're regular, but like they're just the boss of a company that's just massive. But they're just regular people.
Humans at the
but,
end of the day.
Yeah, they're just people.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, people with so much access, man.
Access resources.
Yeah, bro.
Access for
So much
Just levels
resources. So much resources. Yeah.
And then too, the crazy thing about that too is now you have the like rubber stamp of Jack Dorsey. So everybody else who's coming on and be like, oh well, I'm gonna go to this thing that Jack was on.
Facts.
So then you might have people coming and asking you to come because they want to be a part of your thing now because it has that extra validation of somebody so high up.
Yeah. Agreed.
Crazy.
Agreed. And also, it gave us a lot of negotiating power for
For sure.
for people that want to come and like put down like a ton of things that they want us to do, or like Jack did
Jack
do
never
this.
asked for that.
Jack can take the room.
yeah, exactly. Jack didn't know that's all it was.
Yeah,
But
that's good leverage, boy.
As you mentioned, putting him into giving him the option of the presidential suite and stuff, you could give us I guess an idea of the expenses involved in running an event like that I mean the regular person might not think about.
Oh, okay. So for one, we buy out rooms at the hotel. So we're at the stage now where we buy like 400 rooms.
Shit.
Right?
Or for everybody there.
Yeah. And then we sell back the rooms.
To the attendees.
Yeah. And so whatever rooms we do sell, we absorb that cost. So if we buy 400 rooms and we sell 350, that's 50 rooms we absorb, right? So for us, Kirk and myself, we're always doing the math every year of like how much more we want to add on, because gratefully we've been in a continuous growth mode every year. Thankfully, as the brand continued to grow, we just continue to grow. So it's been always, knock on wood, in a really positive position where we always run out of rooms, right? And so we're always trying to like ask the hotel for more, give us more. And then recently this year, us having people stay off property, but our by far biggest expense is the fact that we buy all these rooms and for 3 nights, right? And so a hotel room at an all-inclusive in Jamaica ranges from like $500 to $600 a night.
On the beach too.
Right, so just do the maths there quickly. That's
I mean, that is also a crazy value add for the attendees too, to all be staying in one place, because they could do their little side interactions and then outside of the retreat as well. So I mean, that's real.
exactly, and that's what we sell. What we sell is that it's a campus style environment. From the time you enter the property, you don't need to worry about anything. You don't need to worry about your breakfast, lunch, dinner. You're meeting with an investor off in options of 5-6 different restaurants on property. So you all could go wherever on the property and have your side meetings. You don't need to worry about who's paying, you know. And you're there for 3 days, you know, and so you end up building so much of a deeper rapport with people, because you're there with them for breakfast, lunch, dinner, after party, bam, 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 bam. And so you end up building so much more of a more deep, nuanced relationship with them, because you see them in different environments. It's not like you go have a meeting with them and you meet them in a coffee shop or something and that's that. Yeah. It's you meet with them in the morning, right? Hey, breakfast, whatever. And then you go to some talks with them, and then you come back out in between the talks, talking about the talks or whatever the case is. You're building some more rapport there. What do you think about that? AI, this, music, whatever the case is. And then lunch, you sit down with them, you talk with them at lunch. Then go back into sessions, then workshops. And so in workshops, you get to understand how people think now, because it's not a one-to-many or a couple-to-many. It's an interactive sort of thing. It's we're talking about challenges that we're facing in our business, how we're going to approach leveraging technology, et cetera, et cetera. And so you get the opportunity to see and explore how people think. And then after that, you decompress, drinks, and all kind of shit talk. All kind of talk is be going on. That I just feel like, whoa. I'll pretend I did not hear that, because that's not the light that I saw you in. All right, you know. So all of those kind of conversations and rapport building on so many layers happening in a short weekend, that people feel then that they would have known somebody so much longer, because you get to interact with a person in so much ways that under normal circumstances it would take you such a longer time to experience them in that kind of way, right? Under normal circumstances, you would, if you're having a professional relationship with somebody, you would just have professional, right? Meeting. Or, you know who I bunks up? I bunks up this man, this weekend, or we line with this bar. Happen to engage with that person in an outside setting at some serendipitous moment. Oh, well, yeah, I know him because we're working on this project together, ting, right? You know, and so, but what happens at Tech Beach, those experiences get merged quickly into a weekend that by the time you're leaving, you feel like you know a person so much deeper than what you normally have. And so that's incredible. And then sometimes people end up like going on like little after excursions together, you know? And so that even takes the relationship even deeper. And so that there is what the experience is like. That's what we've built, and that's our secret sauce.
Like great formula there.
Yeah, man.
That was great.
Yeah, Kyle. So TBR has been in the making for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
I want to know the TBR we're gonna see for 2025. How does that compare, or what new add-ons does it have to the first set of events that y'all did?
Yeah, man. As a company, our vision has always been to be the driver of new technology businesses in the Caribbean, right? And because my co-founder always says this, technology is the greatest wealth creator of our generation. All right, technology businesses, right? And so if you look at the stock exchange, the biggest companies in the world, technology companies now make up the majority of the largest companies in the world, right? And so within the region, we are miles away from that, right? Yeah. And so what we set out to do is become the driver of that shift, right? And so And so that shift doesn't take place because just some one winner comes and they do well with their one company, right? People only see the Jack, or they only see the Zuck, or they see the Jeff Bezos or the Elon Musk, right? They only see those frontier founders, and they don't know what is the engine that goes behind these guys to create those levels of success that they create, right? And what the engine is an incredible network of other founders they could lean on and bounce thoughts off of, people that they can access that comes in to work with these companies, investors that have risk appetite type capital that are willing to invest today and see a return in 10 years, right? Exactly, or more, right? And so these are the pieces that people don't see. These are the quiet heroes of the technology stories that you don't know unless you're incentivized to dig in. And what we set out to play are those more quiet heroes that work with the incredible founders that have the vision, but they can't succeed without all of these other pieces: the capital, the talent, the mentorship, the access to networks, So those are the pieces that come to place to really see those companies come into success. And so we started out first with the incredible community that we've built. Then in 2021, we started an accelerator program. And that program focuses on supporting early stage founders with technology-focused education. So helping them to understand how to scale their business, raise capital, hire a team, develop partnerships, etc. And so we take them through an 8-week course and they form part of that network. And then the final piece of the puzzle for us is investment. And so these pillars here, this logo represents events, education, investment. And those 3 pillars come together to make the TBR community, right? And so they have a sort of like a model it off of the recycle icon, right? Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah. Because these 3 of them play into each other, right? The events, the education, and the investment play all into each other to be able to create the TBR community and the TBR impact, which really is seeing technology companies now become the leading businesses within the Caribbean. And so the final piece for us is investment. We want to be able to write check to early stage founders to really begin seeing a catalytic level of growth from the technology sector in this region.
I had I guess some just random questions after, unless you wanted to touch on anything more on Tech Beach. No, we didn't touch on.
No, I mean that's the final piece, right? And so what we're working on doing is raising the region's first technology-focused venture capital fund. It's going to be a $25 million US fund to invest in technology companies all across the region, and founders from our diaspora that are building technology companies that will impact the region.
Also, do you make, I believe you do because of our conversation earlier, but do you make an attempt to bridge between tech and non-tech, as in some tech startups may not always be like a social media platform. It might be like services for like maybe like a conglomerate or whatever like that. So do you purposefully bring people from both sides together to try to form that relationship too? Because that's also a way that those companies could also make money and offer services. Yeah.
In this day and age, every company is a technology-driven company, right? Or will become, right? And so what we're focused on is helping more businesses understand that, and the businesses that do, we're looking to play a part in that growth, as long as that founder believes that they can create something really exponential, right? But then even beyond that's from our investment fund thesis perspective. But even outside of that, what we've done is create a community where no matter how big you want to go, if you're trying to just understand how to leverage technology in your business to be better, to have better customer experience, just better back end services to support the business, Tech Beach is the place to be. Yeah. And so, because the reality is, whether it is you're an artist, right? All you do is create art. Somebody had to see that art in order to buy the art, right? And so leveraging the social platforms and telling a story about why you've done it is a great way to leverage technology in your business as an artist, right? I mean, you don't have to, but it's definitely an option, right? Leveraging your TikToks, your Instagrams, your YouTubes, and telling the story of where the inspiration came from for these strokes and this piece and that sort of thing, you know? And so it don't matter if you're an artist or you are or leveraging, building AI and leveraging large language models, and you're diving into deep technology. On either end of the spectrum, anybody can leverage technology to drive their business.
Of course.
Yeah.
As you mentioned AI, what are your thoughts on AI? Not positive or?
I mean, to be honest, it's extreme on both ends. It can be extremely negative when the bad actors can use it for net negative, and it can be extremely net positive, because within the whole AI paradigm, I'm most excited for how and when AI is really applied to healthcare, right? And in the gamut of healthcare, in terms of having so specialized treatment in how we treat our bodies, you know? And so imagine we're touching on it lightly now with like the rings that tell you like your sleep patterns, and then the watches that tell you about your running. Yeah. But if you have these devices now that can tell you exactly how much sleep you need, exactly what deficiencies you have in your bloodstream, in your blood system, like, and so your eating ends up now becoming extremely precise based on you, right? That's the stuff I'm really excited about, you know, like, and so now you're prolonging life, prolonging a high quality of life, because you have these devices that now attach to your body that really understand your body's rhythm and cycle and the things that you need and what you may be deficient in. And so you're not guessing anymore. You're not just drinking some green shakes because it's good for you, and you're just drinking that in some ginger something and some turmeric, and then all kind of thing you're just plowing in because you're hoping for the best. Yeah, you know.
Instagram tell you that.
Yeah, exactly. Because Instagram tell you to try the latest fad, right? Your keto diet, right? Yeah. Then you know, you're vegan. You're like, you know, like, no, like, you can't be vegan because your body makeup and composition is this way. And so you need protein from meat. All right. I don't know. Right. So I'm most excited about that side of things. But then there's the other side, like, where, I mean, it can be leveraged to do really evil things, you know, just from the side of like disinformation and misinformation, the deep fakes.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And then in terms of like warfare, right? Like,
yeah, you have AI drones tracking people down and all that. And I mean, even environmental as well, like, it's energy intensive. So that could be also. And to be honest, it's my conspiracy theory here, and I point it out. It's my conspiracy theory, so there's my disclaimer. Why are we all of a sudden having so much plane issues?
That's true.
Yeah, why are we having, like, and so my conspiracy theory is that, I don't know, somebody's demonstrating the power of being able to do things that are untraced. Right? Do things that are untraced and see the impact. All right? Like, is it a coincidence that we're at the point where they're demonstrating that how powerful these large language models are, and all of a sudden, just plane incident after plane. I don't know, bro. I don't know. That's my conspiracy theory, right? Obviously, like, it's rooted in nothingness and is not fact-based by any means. It's just like I'm trying to make sense out of it. How all of a sudden,
and even
right?
in general,
right? No, and so what happens with these conspiracy theories, obviously, is that you're using very disproportionate, unrelated things, and you connect the dots in your own way, and a lot of coincidences.
Comes in,
right, exactly, right? You know, and so whatever. I'm not saying this fact is true. I'm just saying like it's just very weird.
Yeah, it's very weird.
You know, so that's the bad examples where leveraging AI to be able to get into technology-driven systems and be able to do things that are undetectable, untraceable, and cause a lot of harm to people.
What do you think about it from like a labor perspective, where like it might replace like executive assistants and like writers and like, I mean, maybe not artists, but like
It could.
that's a big chunk of our, like, for example, in Trinidad, a lot of our working population are like clerks in like government entities. But if OpenAI just drop like so it's called operator or whatever, then you think that could come and take like 20,000 jobs in Trinidad, real normal, you know?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a tricky one, but I mean,
When was the last time you went to a carpenter?
carpenter, boy, not that long, never, probably. But that's also another thing too. Is like those jobs are few and far between now because nobody wants to do them, like plumbing, like carpenters.
I mean, nah, you need a plumber.
Yeah.
Nah, you can't replace a plumber.
Young people don't want to pursue that, so that's already down. And then AI can't replace them either. So I think people are gonna push towards that, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, point asking us is that jobs are replaced all the time with technology. Problem with AI is that it's just never been at this rapid rate, right? It's always been gradual. Things are phased out, and you know, when's the last time you ride a horse to work? Right?
Yeah.
Right, you know. Ways, boy. So you had to come out with the car, and we wouldn't have horses anymore.
Horses.
All right, and so this has always happened across history, right? But the unique problem of our time is that it's just never happened as fast as this.
Yeah.
And so what happens all the time as well, though, is that when jobs are replaced, new job opportunities begin to open themselves.
Sure.
But we're not good at being able to see opportunity that we have no history of.
Yes.
Right? And so the Henry Ford example where he said, if I asked people what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse, not a car, right?
Yeah.
And so he created a car. And so if you listen to the advice of people, he would have just focused on trying to like optimize and create a faster horse. And so the car industry then comes in and creates so many jobs, so many new opportunities for people that they could not have remotely fathomed.
Yeah.
And so boom, right? So the horse is gone and now the car's in, and tons of opportunities in the car industry. And so there's definitely going to be new opportunities in that way that we just could not see initially, right?
Yeah, of course.
But I do think there's going to be a net negative in terms of the requirement for human labor, though.
Yeah.
Right? There's going to be a net negative in terms of the requirement for human labor, right? Where you're just not going to need as much people to do things, you know? And so that's definitely going to be a challenge on the impact for humanity. Mm-hmm. When you think about it on such a grand scale, I think the mass adoption of leveraging AI is definitely an existential crisis. You know, it's definitely one of those where if so many businesses are using technology to the nth degree, you're just not going to just require too many people. Even though new jobs are created, new things are being created, I think the net amount is just going to be tremendously less. And so there's definitely going to be a challenge for the next 30 years and then our kids' generation, for sure. But the next 30 years is really gonna define how the following 30 years could potentially be.
How are you utilizing or leveraging AI in your businesses, TBR or whatever the case may be?
Yeah, man. So the day GPT launched, that I knew about it, I was on it. The day it launched, the paid subscription, I began paying for it. I've been on a paid GPT subscription the day it was available, and I've been paying for it ever since. Right? So that $20 a month comes out, I don't even look at it, right? And that's because I've just been exploring within my bounds how to leverage generative AI in this application, chatbot style application, to apply in my life, right? And so there's been so many different usages. From just yesterday, I have a business that I think is going to be really, really good in this market. And I open up GPT, put it on a voice mode, and begin talking to it and talking through the business opportunity that I think. And I say, hey, this is the business that I'm thinking about. This is the gap in the market, I think. Where do you think I should start focusing on to build? And then it begins to tell me, hey, these are the 3-4 things that you think you should be thinking about.
Business
Right?
plan
It's
one
insane
time.
that I could do that, you know. Like when you really, like, it's insane that I could do that. Like when you really think about it.
It's actually
Yeah.
insane.
That is.
Yeah,
Anyway.
yeah, wild, right?
Nah, it's mad. It's like,
Wild,
you can't think about
wild.
it too much.
Right?
That's what I go down.
And so it says, all right, cool. These are the 4 areas that I think would be most valuable for you to begin. I said, all right, cool. Well, let's dig in on this one here. Where do I begin? Okay, so technology platform to build. Okay, so how do I begin thinking about the technology platform that I want to build in this way? Like begin just digging down on this pillar. And so we just ran down a rabbit hole on this pillar. And I have these next 3 pillars of the business to begin digging into, you know? And so from that perspective, as an entrepreneur, seeing opportunity in the marketplace and trying to evaluate how to begin, where to begin, that sort of thing, that's is become like a cheat code almost for me, you know?
It's really.
If you have to do all that research by yourself, how long that would take compared to ChatGPT splitting on like a 15-minute?
Yeah, I mean, and it's not perfect, but it's an incredible start.
Of course.
You know, once you're already operating with the mind frame that the information again is not going to be perfect, but is giving you a real good start in a direction, just run with it, man.
I remember. You want to know how I know all these things about you? Before every episode. Well, especially if somebody is as public of a figure as you.
Yeah.
I was like, ChatGPT, pretend you're an interviewer and find all the necessary information you need to know about Kyle Maloney. One time.
Well, lucky for you. Shit.
Oh, blind break? No.
Yeah, no, I didn't break.
I get you.
Cool, yeah. Thank God for you, in your instance, it didn't hallucinate. Didn't tell you some random shit about me.
Imagine you got that after talk. He said, what are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, cool.
What are the next steps for you? What is after Tech Beach? What is the next big thing? You said it was the biggest thing for now.
I mean, I don't know what the next big thing is for me yet. I think there's always emerged in my life as I get to the next thing. And I've learned to not be afraid of closing one chapter and walking into the next, you know?
Is there a dream that's driving you in a certain direction?
Yeah, for sure. The dream as it stands right now is becoming that engine behind the success of technology in this region and becoming a bridge between our region to LATAM and the US and Africa and that sort of thing. Like, I want us to become a significant driver of these businesses becoming like stalwarts in this region, you know, our own. See how like right now, like there are a handful of businesses that are doing well in technology space that we know locally, like a TT Rideshare, a Food Drop, you know, are 2 like most popular names. You know, there's another one, WePay. There's another guy called O Deliver. Like, so there's Island E, exactly. They're de facto like one of the leading ticket service providers in the country. You know, so I want these companies to become hundreds of $1 million valued companies. And that only happens through their wider proliferation across the region and market entry in maybe into the US or into LATAM or some other markets, and so we want to become the driver of those kinds of successes. And that's the vision for us. I think that's going to drive us for the next 10 years at least. Yeah.
Well, we could always cut out this part, but I know how you mentioned off camera that you had invested in. You mind talking about like your investments outside of business?
In what way?
Like just how like you believe in like Bitcoin and thing?
You mean believing?
Are you like
You think it's like Christ? Like, yes, I follow the Church of Bitcoin.
do you?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I have a crypto portfolio.
Right.
Yeah. Right now, I'm banging on that Ripple though. I think,
Really?
I think, I'm excited about what's happening on the Ripple network. With its more mainstream adoption, and I think it should bode well within the near future for returns to investors on that Ripple token. That's one.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, Bitcoin is the flagship of the crypto space. And so I think there's still a lot more room for Bitcoin to move from its 100K mark right now. I think there's potential for it to get to the million, right? 10x sort of thing. But if you look at more of the smaller cap tokens, I think you have still greater potential for even beyond 10x on these tokens. A Ripple is like $2 something, $3 now, is hovering in and around that. And so, I mean, it goes to 30. That's providing 3 to 30 is a similar return as Bitcoin. 100 to a million, it's the same return, but I think it could potentially get to 3 to 100, I don't think it would be so crazy. And there are other tokens, like the Cardanos, so there, right? So there are a lot of other tokens that still have quite a bit of growth potential in the market. The Trump,
Trump plus.
So you're like a more risky investor, like you're more towards the direction of like Bitcoin and I guess. Do you invest in like startups yourself?
Yeah, of course. In order to start a fund, we had to speak about our investments in companies in the first place.
Yeah.
To raise money from our early stage investors, you had to speak about the fact that you are actually already doing this, and how you supporting the growth of companies in the ecosystem already on a small scale, So my investment risk appetite leans towards finding more high growth opportunities, because I'm not in like a super cash preservation mode at this current phase and stage of my life, right? And so my portfolio would lean towards more high growth opportunities than more stable type things. But you need that stable type investments I treat it more as your cash preservation, right? Should worst case scenario, your risky portfolio go to crap, you have your things that are your stalwart businesses that through economic cycles, good and bad, they generally stay the course, right? And so it's made up of that, and then cash, right? Like they say, cash is king, right? And so you hold cash in your portfolio for
The opportunity.
well, both two ways. One is in the event that all the shit hits the fan, right? You have some cash, but then also from the perspective of being able to capitalize on down opportunities in the market, where cash is king at that point in time, and wealth is really created in the blood in the streets, right? Buying that Meta when it went to shit over the Cambridge Analytica and Frances Hagan. I don't know if you know about her, where this woman was highlighting how the meta algorithms were causing kids to have depression and suicide and that sort of thing. And this is during the pandemic in 2021 where Meta was down in the dumps, and so between Meta down in the dumps, buying it then to now, I think it's like something like a few 100 percentage point return, right? Exactly. It's made an incredible comeback. And so you could have been that investor to buy at that down point in time. Netflix went through a big down. Actually, just the entire market overall went through a down. And so just highlighting some of the companies that made the greatest return from that down period. And so you need to hold cash so that you're able to do that in those down periods. Because if you were just all in stock in that down period, what you're going to do, sell your positions to then buy back? No, I mean, no, you just be incurring tremendous loss. You just had to continue just sitting down there waiting for it to return, So your portfolio need to be split in terms of just absolutely no risk to where you're playing more on the risky side. And that split really is dependent on your personal risk appetite, where you are at your life stage as an investor.
All right, guys, that brings us to the end of episode 12 of the Odyssey podcast. Thank you for bearing with us on the long break. It was Christian's fault. It was not mine. Today we had the pleasure of sitting with Kyle Maloney, co-founder of Tech Beach Retreat. Kyle, I just want to say thank you so much for taking so much time, because it was like 2 hours out your really busy schedule to come and talk to us. We really enjoyed it. I learned a lot, actually. And I'm pretty sure everybody who's watching also learned a lot, and they also appreciate you being here. So.
Cool. Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me, guys.
I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure.
Guys, we just want to say that we really, really, really appreciate your support. This podcast wouldn't be a thing without you guys. And if you like the episode, please like, comment, share, or follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at the Odyssey Podcast. Also follow Kyle Maloney on Instagram, Kyle P. Maloney on Instagram, and also follow Tech Beach Retreat. They're doing some big things.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
Thanks, brother.
Bless you.
Thanks, yo.
It's up.